And then,
Hey, David, this is Dara. I'm calling in on my phone.
Okay,
from
Dara.
the 336 number. All right, I'll put myself back on mute.
Okay. 4551. That's Dara. Since we have two phone people, we really can't tell the difference between them other than the number on that. So we'll just have to refer to you by number 4551 and 2687.
India.
India.
Yeah, I was going to say.
This is Dara again.
Hey, guys.
Yeah, this is Dara. I'm the 2687 number.
2687. Okay, that's great. Okay, that's Dara.
8675309.
I was going to say, Kelly can go in there and change their numbers to names. You can. If that helps.
Let me see if I can.
Well, whoever has control.
Start. Oh, there's Betsy.
Betsy, yay.
Betsy.
And India's here now. God, this is great.
We're going to keep waiting.
All right, this is our holiday version of the Public Art Commission meeting. Cheers, everyone. Thank you. And so I want to go around and identify ourselves because I think mostly we're here. People may come in, but Kelly, you want to call the roll?
Okay, there we go.
Kelly, you're on mute. If you can call.
There we go. Okay. Let's do the attendance. India Beal.
Here.
David Finn.
Here.
Sarah Silver.
Excuse me.
Here.
Betsy Towns.
Here.
Elizabeth Rapetti.
Here.
Janie Wilson.
Here.
Jane Dabb.
Here.
Barbara Campbell.
Here, and I just wanted to say this is my last meeting, so I just wanted to thank everybody for giving me an opportunity to be part of this group. It's been a great 3 years, and you've done a lot of great work, so I'm proud that I've been part of that.
Thanks so much, Barbara.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank
Great.
you, Barbara.
Let's have it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being a part of this. It's been great to have you on this.
Thank you, David.
Absolutely.
And John Rushton. You're here. And then Owens Daniels, I don't see. Yeah, maybe he'll come in. He said he would be here, so maybe he'll swoop in.
Okay, so the first sort of business is to approve the minutes from the last session, which was a little bit unusual. It wasn't in our standard time. And so do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Let's go around and announce whether you're in favor of approving the minutes.
Who was the who made the motion?
John seconded the motion.
Janie made the motion.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do you all want to? Oh, you can't raise your hands. You can't see you all. All right, we'll go around. India.
Approve.
David.
Approve.
Dara.
Approve.
Betsy.
Approve.
Elizabeth.
Approve.
Janie.
Approve.
Jane.
Approve.
Barbara.
Approve.
And John. And there's Penny Freeland. She's going to be joining us for the future projects.
Hey, Penny.
So what is first on the agenda, Kelly?
First up, we have the downtown sculpture design project. This is the project that we split into two parts. One for the design of the sculpture that'll be on the corner of 4th and Spruce, and one for the fabrication, which will send out an RFP once the design is chosen. So the committee met before Thanksgiving, and they chose one design or they're recommending to you the design by Mona King. And but it was it was a really difficult decision for everybody. They were all really close. But
Hey Kelly, I have a quick question. I'm sorry. Penny's new to our meeting, so maybe we should tell her what's happening, and then possibly, Penny may want to log back on if she doesn't want to listen to our whole meeting until it's at the end.
Hi, Penny. We have one item before we get to the discussion with you that you'll be included in. So it should just be like just a few minutes.
It won't be that boring. I don't think it'll be that boring. So I think you'll be able to stand it, but you can always just put on the freeze frame and step out and just listen to us until you come up. We're excited you're here.
Yeah, it's a really fun group.
And Owens is here now.
Owens, hi.
I want to say hi to everybody, particularly congratulations, India, for the PPA.
Oh, thanks. Yeah,
I'm signed up, so I will be there.
Oh, wonderful. Are you going to attend our session?
Yes, I am. I signed up. So I just want to congratulate you.
Thank you.
What's the PPA?
Professional Photographers of America. And so I'm hosting a lecture and workshop with them, with Juan Logan, actually.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we're talking about funding your practice, how to make money while you're an artist.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You should join.
Cool.
Yeah.
I need to sign up for
Maybe
that. Yeah.
all of us should.
Yeah.
Wait, you're supposed to make money?
You're supposed to make some money.
Let me take notes.
It's called funding grants in photography, funding your practice. How do you sustain now? Yeah.
Good. Well, email me some of your ideas, will you? Today? Do you have got some time?
Sign up. You got to sign up. All right, Kelly, you want to? We need to take a vote on this in order to forward it to the final rubber stamp approval, or we hope what will be an approval by the council, right, Kelly?
This actually shouldn't have to go to city council.
Okay.
It should just go to the city manager's office based on the budget.
On the mayor's office. Yeah. Okay.
I can.
Can we see Menace?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to share my screen.
So, so here it was Jane and myself and
Dara.
Sorry.
And then we also had Laura White from Grub Properties, and then
Magali
Synth. And I think that was
Rosa.
Rosa
didn't make any of the interviews.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe she'll come back in for the fabrication. So this is Mona King's design that they chose. it's flexible on kind of what's in that gateway. She has different ideas for a sundial or globe or other things, but it's definitely something that could be manufactured locally. She's already talked to some people who are interested, I gather. So it's kind of this gateway piece on this main part of downtown. The other designs were Terry Coppola. She had this hand, and then she had different ideas for things that could hover over the hand. This is just one of those ideas. And then the other one was Rachel Thomas, who had this kind of interior lit graphic design of different parts of the city. She'd been chosen. I think the group wanted her to kind of do a charrette or something that would bring in other neighborhoods. But this is kind of the process. She's worked in the museum, and it would have been an internally lit graphic design.
So has the committee's already met and chosen Miss King's design? Yes. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you're just showing us the other ones to tease us, but to let us know that they've already chosen the other one.
Well, they recommended unanimously Mona King.
What's the the roof on the top of it? What is that? What is material is that?
I believe that is right now. It's proposed to be aluminum tubing. The uprights are steel, are Corten steel.
Okay.
You know, those big beams, and you can see they're sort of staggered they're staggered off center. Yeah, but the top is fairly symmetrical, and I think, it was her rendering is in SketchUp, and so she probably used sort of stock kinds of forms for that, but that's how it is right now.
So the beams are Corten steel.
Yeah.
What are the flowers?
Those would be also metal. So she is proposing this as the designer of it, and with the idea that it will be fabricated by a different person or persons.
And in the middle is and the sundial is concrete?
Good question. I don't know if we have a material for the sundial.
No, we didn't. I don't think we had a material yet for that. I think that would come in the fabrication stage. But
the bricks are George Black bricks at the base.
Right.
And maybe there was one other proposal to have that centerpiece be bricks. I can't remember, but yeah.
It says local granite sundial and base.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she had several possibilities. It could be the bricks, the George Black bricks she was interested in trying to acquire for the base where the sundial sits. I believe, isn't that right, David? Do you remember?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Kelly. Okay, yeah. So,
what was the budget?
The whole budget for where the project is $50,000. We're taking out $3,000 for finalist fees for the design and the fabrication. So it's $7,000 for the design and $40,000 to fabricate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 7,000 for the design. And what was the inspiration behind it? It reminds me of like Old Salem or something. I don't know. So curious what her inspiration was.
You know, it was supposed to be something that has a theme of arts and innovation, and also, you know, that could be considered interactive. That's why it's kind of a gateway.
I'll just throw in there that Mona really was like the sort of metaphor of building and of construction and the idea of building ourselves. So she mentioned that a number of times, I think. Didn't she, Jane, when she talked about this? I think, yeah. I mean, we also, we as a group really could see this as a piece that would be interactive, because I think it would be attractive to people passing by and taking selfies, and it's also a place that the location frames buildings and frames the downtown as well. So it's really kind of I mean, in fact, all of the pieces were I would say boosterish pieces. They were all the finalists that were boosterish. I mean, they were about putting something in the middle of downtown.
I'm looking that up while you're saying that.
What is boosterish?
I like pro Winston-Salem.
I need the definition.
Sales pitches for the City of Arts and Innovation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Boosterish, supporting or promoting something enthusiastically and often uncritically. Very well used.
Nice. A new word for the day.
Yeah.
I know. I'm writing that down right now. So very nice.
What is the build time for this? Is it going to be built in pieces? Is it going to be built as one piece?
Yeah. I mean, I think it'll be multiple pieces. I mean, it'll be like the metal part and then the center piece.
It looks like a top, a middle, bottom, and the sun piece as its own piece.
Mm-hmm. Probably. I mean, we're gonna send out an RFP for the fabrication of it. So
okay.
TBD.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'd make a motion to approve the recommendation from the committee. I mean, they did all this hard work. So I'd like to make that motion.
Do you hear a second? Any seconds?
I'll make a second. This is Elizabeth Rapetti.
Okay. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Okay, I'll go down the list. I'll go up the list. John Rushton.
Approve.
Owens Daniels.
Approve.
Barbara Campbell.
Approve.
Jane Dabb.
Approve.
Janie Wilson.
Approved.
Elizabeth Rapetti.
Approve.
Betsy Towns.
Approved.
Dara Silver.
Approved.
David Finn.
Approved.
And India Beale.
Approved.
All right, thank you all. The next item is the future projects discussion, and we're being joined, and stop this share, we're being joined by Penny Freeland. There you are. Penny, are you still here?
I am.
Fantastic. India, did you want to introduce Penny?
Definitely. So Penny, tell me your exact title. Visual Arts Administrator. That's what I saw online. So Penny is the visual arts administrator for Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools. You know, in our last meeting, we talked about the possibility of doing something with the high schools, working with high school art teachers, and Dara had recommended reaching out to Penny because she have a better idea and kind of pulse on what is happening within Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools. What are the restrictions? As far as teachers, what is the workload? Is it a possibility for something they may be interested in? And so Penny and I had a really wonderful conversation, just kind of thinking about, you know, what possibilities could happen. And I wanted to kind of introduce her to the committee and just kind of use this time as like a brainstorming opportunity to think about some possibilities. And maybe even Penny could tell us, you know, the restrictions and what's happening with art teachers, primarily high school art teachers right now in Forsyth County. And yeah, and Penny and I go way back.
Just a couple years because we're both 21.
Oh, say one more time.
Just a couple years because we're both 21.
Exactly, right. Exactly.
Yeah, so the high school teachers in Winston-Salem are all at home.
Yeah.
But working very hard to still make our arts program vibrant and active right now, getting ready for scholastics. But we're very excited about the idea of being able to have artwork. We actually have talked about installing sculpture at 2 of our schools. And presently we have new schools being built. And so I know that the team that's putting that together has come to me asking what they could do to hopefully bring about more of a community feeling within that area of the school, and a project that would involve both students and community. And so we had talked about sculpture and creating that. And we actually had talked with an artist last year and had set up a time for him to come in March, but you know what happened in March. So we're very excited about the idea of working on a project like this.
Artist again, who was the artist again you mentioned that you were going to work with before?
Bob Doster from South Carolina.
Okay. Okay. And here's a question: the construction that's happening with the schools, have they set a budget aside to work on public art? Like, is that something they included within the foundation of the building? These
No, but they did ask with our original plan. The school was going to be responsible for creating like the platform, the base, the place for the piece.
Okay.
So that was as much as they had been involved. And of course, we didn't get to actually do the project, so we don't know how that would have played out or any of those questions. I wish, but we didn't get to do it.
I know that for many years, the North Carolina Arts Council has had a program that really puts artists into schools across the state. I don't know, is that program still ongoing? If anybody knows, that would be a way that we could get funding to bring an artist to schools here. Because of COVID, it may not be going right now, but the last I checked was a couple of years ago, and I know that was an ongoing part of the visual arts grant program.
It is, and you can still apply for grants from them.
This might be
Penny. Go ahead, David.
Well, I mean, that was sort of specifically set up so that exactly what you're talking about, Penny, where an artist could come in and work with a group of students and create work. Maybe not necessarily for public artwork or for permanent kinds of work necessarily, but it was something that was set up to do that.
Right. And we actually did have an artist come to Reynolds High School. I want to say it was in 2016. with that kind of a grant and work. And they did an installation piece there on campus. It wasn't permanent, but again, it was sculpture. And it was very well received. There were frames that were hanging from trees. And we were talking about just that they gave the students opportunity, anyone else opportunity who came on campus, to put themselves in the frame for a selfie. And those frames represented different lifestyles, different thoughts, different situations. And so it was really a art speaks kind of piece too. So that was really neat for the students and for the community. And we also actually brought the frames in for the North Carolina Art Education Association conference, which was held in Winston-Salem that year. So they were part of the conference with the art teachers throughout the state of North Carolina. So that was a good experience. Now, the project that we were supposed to have done in March was actually going to be funded through an arts and education grant. So
I know. Yeah, Penny, I was just going to say, I know how hard the school system is to navigate and to get permission and to get the right person. Would you be that person for us if we had a project and could we go right to you and then you would take that to the powers that be?
I would.
Are you willing to work that? Okay, that's great to know. Because sometimes just getting anything through the school system is a very involved process.
It is finding out.
Experience.
Yeah.
Right.
When it involves visual arts, it's me. We start with me.
Okay. Wonderful. I'm good with that.
Penny, what are the restrictions now for students and instructors? Because I'm sure that have they met at all for the year?
No.
So all high school is virtual.
Yes. And right now, the plan is that they will come back at the beginning of the third 9 weeks, which isn't until the third week of January.
Oh, so they'll be in person in January.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
Maybe. Yeah, right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Would the school system be open to doing some kind of outdoor masked project? Do you think?
Possibly, but again, when we talked before, I told you that I would definitely have to take that that question further, of course, to legal and like the board to make sure that we have permission to do that.
Right.
And I'm not sure exactly how they are going to feel about volunteers being on campus yet. It just all depends on so many things this year, I know.
I think I might live in left field. This point may be coming way out of left field somehow, but I'm everything that I'm doing in the classroom, I'm trying to think of what are the ways that I can really, really make this make sense in an online environment, or what are the ways that I could take advantage of where we are right now and how insane it is and how challenging. And I just start thinking about, what about a mask? I heard you say masked, India, but I thought you said MASS, some kind of, of crowd-made artwork, maybe, with brainstorming led by an artist, but with the artwork taking place in people's homes and taking place out in the parks and having, photographic evidence emerge online. But I mean, I could just imagine, some kind of Andy Goldsworthy inspired, find some natural materials and make something. It just feels like we need art making and creativity so badly right now, but we also need reasons to get off our screen and to get outside and to have kind of healing action. So it just, I wonder if there are prompts that we could start that would be available to any high school student, or I don't know how to it would be great to keep it inside high school in a way, or inside the 9th grade, the 10th grade, the 11th grade, something like that, because it would be community building, even if it's distant.
Well, yeah, that's a good idea. I'm going to say that out loud just so somebody responds to what Betsy says. Just quiet, Nobody liked that? And that was a great idea. I totally agree with that.
We have several teachers that have done that very thing.
Mm-hmm.
They've had their students go do those and take photographs. And we've actually had some of that on our website. Some of the students worked.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got a freshman in high school. He's taking art. I feel so sorry for him because, you know, he just gets these little projects he has to do and he does them. And then, you know, you kind of show the teacher or send it in or take a picture with his phone. It's just such a different experience from being in, you know, in an art environment. So I really appreciate you guys doing what you do, all of you that try to teach art over the phone. It's, as an artist, I don't know if I could do it. You know, it's just really, really challenging. So
when this first started, I was trying to help 100 people learn how to get online to do that via a phone and a computer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then Canvas is down and then the other thing doesn't work. And, you know, yeah, it's just been a real challenge as a parent. So.
Go outside, yes.
Yeah, going outside, Betsy, good idea. Because when they're not in school, they're playing video games. So it's like, will you get off the computer, please, for like 10 minutes? I mean, you know, it's like, oh, good, school's finally over. Now let me get back on the computer. I was like, you've been doing all day.
Yeah. So as far as even possible dates, I know that, you know, Penny, we had even talked about, like, this is just brainstorming, like maybe in the fall or even the spring of 2021, you know, like the fall of 2021 or even the spring of 2022, thinking like far out, you know, as far as the possibility. And hopefully we're in a better place with the pandemic that allows us to even, you know, to get a little closer. So like really brainstorming what does it look like in, you know, the spring of 2022 or the fall of 2021.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd have to.
I think they're great possibilities for having students work together. I like some of Betsy's ideas. I think that, you know, this is something that we should really think really seriously about for that time frame. I think in the next probably 6 months, I don't think we really have the capability of I mean, maybe we do, but we certainly love to be involved with anything that schools are doing, you know, in our capacities sort of as advisors, and we'd certainly like to be involved. But when we come up with sites that are public sites, having students get off of the campus, I understand the attraction of having artwork at the schools.
Right.
That's something that the school system has to make a commitment to, I think, primarily. But for the public places in Winston-Salem, that would be something, you know, that we worked with these bus shelters. That could be something that students, we mentioned that to ourselves last time. It's something that students could actually really participate in and probably do something really pretty great for bus shelter. There are other possibilities that we could look at to the extent where we're getting an artist to team up with classes from Winston-Salem, Forsyth County schools. Would be one of probably the most rewarding for everybody if that could happen. I think.
Yeah.
So, but I like the idea of us planning for this, thinking about it, having this be one of the projects that we work on. You know, in the dates that you mentioned, 21, 22.
And even what Betsy was talking about, I think is something really interesting about making something at home that can also, you know, that can actually live out in the world. Like you don't have to actually, you know, you're making it as a collective, but you're doing it kind of on your own, and it comes together to do something. I'll send you all a link. Eric, can't think of his last name right now, who's the founder of Four Freedoms, does a lot of different projects across the country with students and organizations. And a lot of his billboards, some of his public art, public sculpture, but, and Penny, I'll send you his contact information. I'm actually working with him right now for Young Arts, but it's Gotsman. And so thinking about, artists who are already doing that kind of work, right? Who are already allowing students to make work at home, and then it ends up being a billboard, right? That they can drive by and see. But imagine making that billboard as a collective, like each high school has its own billboard that they've made together, and it's all over Winston-Salem in different places. Like, it could be really interesting. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think there's some possibilities, especially if there's grant funding that could help offset some of the cost.
I love that idea of working with an organization like Four Freedoms that would also, I suggest Andy Goldsworthy because I know it's a relief to be in the natural world, but it's also a relief to navigate the troubled world that we're inhabiting with the arts. And that if someone were able to guide the kind of questioning or the kind of approach, I think that could be very powerful. And the idea of collectively creating a work of art from all of our separate houses, it seems powerful as a way to create connection.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
So as far as this meeting today, can we go ahead and say that we would like to do a future project with the school system and that Penny's available to be our person for that said project? I don't know if we have a motion or anything. I don't know, David, but definitely I think it sounds like a great future project for the commission.
I don't think you need a motion or anything, but it's the beginning of a conversation, and you can come up with, you kind of hold on to the idea of the students as somebody who could execute this, and then maybe find some candidates for places or things that you want to do, at this meeting or a future meeting, where you can put together a committee, including Penny to help work on that.
That's great.
Yeah.
And maybe even earmarking one of the bus shelters for student artists or something. Maybe that's one small way we could start with, having one that would definitely pick from a high school or something.
So when we did the portrait project, that the way we started it was we just got a fairly large group of people, right? Didn't we get 12 people or maybe even 15 people that were sat in a room, and we just brainstormed for a while with the idea that we really were going to come up with a project that's initiated by us, the people in the group. So, that would be the pattern to follow, just to sort of start thinking about setting that up next year, so that when COVID is gone, we could, that took probably from the time we started. I know, Betsy, you were so involved with that. Maybe you can remind me, how long did it take from our first meeting to, you're smiling, so I know it's a long time, first meeting to when we even sort of had the RFP, sent out. It was a long time. Maybe it was a year and a half or 2 years. I don't really remember. Maybe Kelly remembers.
Yeah, Kelly may remember the actual time. It was one of our early projects. So we were solving Public Art Commission questions at the same time as we were developing that RFP. And so, and it was, there were so many people involved. This one really might have so many people involved, but I don't know that it needs to happen as slowly as that project did, but I think it leads to really good work when we spend the time really brainstorming and bringing lots of different thinkers into the room. So I do think it's worth it.
Yeah. I really think that would be the way to do this. It doesn't have to take the same amount of time because we have a little bit more experience, but the idea is that we gather community group together to start the process out. Not everybody's going to last to the end, but that's how we would do it. And that would include lots of people, lots of folks from the school. We don't have we wouldn't even start with a big agenda. We just start talking about what would be the kinds of things that would be great for the school, for the students, for the community. That I like that way of starting it and saying, well, let's start by bringing this group together in the spring of 2021. And that would be what we could do today, is decide we're going to have a meeting to explore this in, let's say, February. And then from now until then, we start thinking about all the people that could be involved in it, that would like to be involved in it, and set that, and then start inviting people and have, maybe not a meeting of 50 people, that may be too hard. It still may be a Zoom meeting. I don't know if I'm getting too far ahead of myself, but I'm just making a suggestion for an actual, way to do this, way to go. Maybe February is too soon, but what do you think of that?
I mean, that sounds good to me. I was thinking maybe Penny could give us a couple of recommendations for art teachers within the city, some people you think may be wonderful on the committee, maybe even students, like a few students who may be interested in also joining the committee, and maybe even like not the lawyer, but, somebody who could, who could help us, also kind of guide that kind of conversation as well in terms of restrictions. They could, chime in, but yeah, I just think maybe if you could send us a list of folks, like maybe, I think 12 was good, what Betsy said, or 10, 10 people, including a few students. Okay. Or 8. Kelly's like 8, 9, maybe 7. Yeah, maybe 8's a good group. 8 people, 7 folks. Yeah. Okay.
I already have an art leaders team established with my art teachers.
Oh, wonderful.
And there are 2 high school art teachers that serve on that. So automatically I would ask those 2.
Okay.
Yeah. So some people come to mind immediately.
Okay. Well, I think February is doable, David. So maybe if you could send us the list and we could choose a few people from our committee to join it, and then we can meet sometime in late February, and start brainstorming some possibilities.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm all for that.
Do people like this idea? I mean, it sounds like we're setting out on another potentially, we don't know what size project. We haven't determined that, but this is going to be some energy. So we kind of have to, be down with that.
Kelly, it looks like you're going to chime in here.
I mean, this seems like a good direction to go based on where we are budget wise, and just the types of projects that we're committed to over the next year or so are a larger scale. It's the portrait project coming out, and then 4th Street is for us a larger project. So we don't have, and then we'll have the memory wall. And then we'll also be unveiling the Kernersville Library, hopefully. So, I mean, we have some larger scale projects, so I think it's probably a good opportunity to get a more community involved project that might not have, the big materials budget necessarily that those other ones do.
Future artists in the school system.
Nice.
I'm down with it, as David said. I'll throw up a gang sign. Load up.
I also think that this seems like something that could be able to attract grant money to other projects that may be. Just say that would be something that we should think about as a way to increase the impact of it.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
I mean, I will look into. I'll look into grants over the next couple of months to see what I can find out about that. But I would urge, us to think about people that I know you want a small group, but I really think we've got to listen to a lot of voices. And even if you have a big first meeting, sorry, Kelly.
My vote on that would be having a smaller core group and then having several opportunities to really involve lots of voices,
right?
So that maybe the people who are actually like steering the project along is a smaller size, but that lots of people weigh in with ideas and insights.
That sounds good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as Penny's there. Penny's got to be there.
I have to say that I enjoy collaborating. That's my favorite way to work anyway. And I can also look at the National Art Education Association. They have grants as well. So I can take a look there and see if there's something that I could actually apply for too.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Penny, thanks so much for being here today and for offering to help out. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And if you want, I can stay in contact with Penny just to get the information and forward to everybody. I'm putting myself on the committee since it's further out. We can plan it, but I'll stay in contact, and so that way we can get the contacts from you and kind of plan for a February meeting.
Sure.
Thanks.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, that's great.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay.
So when we do this successfully, you are all willing to participate in a panel discussion at the North Carolina Art Education Association State Conference, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'll be there. Yeah. I'm good on stage, so.
Okay.
Well.
Okay. Does that complete the future projects discussion, or did anybody else want to bring up any other ideas?
Oh, don't be shy. Come on. We don't have anything in the pipeline, really. I mean, we have stuff in the pipeline. We don't have anything new in the pipeline, though, right, Kelly?
No, just the second phase of the bus shelters, but it's kind of old new.
I would just maybe repeat something I said, I think 2 meetings ago. Sorry, my dog's barking at the mail delivery.
Early today.
I think that's what. Yeah, who knows? I'm going to close her out. Hold on.
What'd she say? The clothes are out?
No, to close the dog out, I guess.
Close the dog out. Okay, so we talked about just the tragedy of so much loss of life due to COVID and how some cities are responding through the arts to memorialize individuals whose lives have been lost. So, many of those are very low cost, simply, printed posters of people's faces, or names. And so I just put that out there again as something that we might want to consider.
Yeah. Yeah, Detroit did a really wonderful kind of drive through. My friend's grandfather passed away of COVID, and so he was a part of that. They provided a photograph of him, but he was a part of the line of individuals that were kind of memorialized through the loss of COVID. So, I always think that's a really, powerful. It's simple, and it doesn't take a lot of time to do something like that, right? And it's community, kind of a collective. People are kind of, all you have to do is submit a photograph, and it has to be installed somewhere. So I think there's some possibilities too, in terms of memorializing, different situations.
Mm-hmm.
It was that Detroit project that inspired me, and I could imagine a designer, choosing the font for names, and so, maybe even an author coming up with some of the words to capture the whole. But
yeah. Yeah, I mean, even in New York, they did like public art photographic exhibitions in parks across different boroughs. So like they used to have in Brooklyn and Dumbo, they had the big photo festival, but Photoville, but they weren't able to do that because of restrictions. So they had these like temporary exhibitions in different parks across New York City where you could go and kind of see an exhibition. It was just kind of up for people to see. So there's always some possibilities, even with student work. You know, the students are making this work kind of at home, isolated, like you were saying, John, with your son making his painting. Now imagine if you did a print of the painting and it was an exhibition that was in a park that was open for people to just come see the works that the students have made. Like there could be some possibilities of exhibiting it, and it's just kind of in an open space so they can go at their leisure, you know, with their family if they wanted to go see their work in a kind of public space. So there's also possibilities as far as even exhibiting what's made during this time, you know.
Mm-hmm. Are all these projects you guys are referencing, are they all temporary projects, or are they more geared towards a permanent type thing? Mostly temporary?
They're all temporary. Yeah.
All temporary, okay.
And even the one in New York, they had to go through the city to get, you know, the clear to do it. But because it's kind of in a park in an open space, you know, it's not like an exhibition out, you know, in a gallery. So they were able to get approved to do it, to do kind of a large scale photo exhibition. So, yeah.
Well, maybe for our next meeting in January, I mean, this is the kind of thing that we would have to get together pretty quickly, it would seem to me, to make, I mean, maybe not, maybe it could be something that happens in the summertime or in the, you know, in the fall. But it seems to me pretty topical, so that we'd want to organize it relatively soon. I also think the idea of billboards might be an interesting part of this idea too, or some kinds of media that get connected with each other through Instagram, through photography, through maybe billboards or on-site sort of things that people can see while driving. So what we might want to do is just collect some examples, like the one from Detroit and any other examples that we can find of maybe of memorials to COVID, but anything that's even remotely something that is a more temporary memorial. Mm-hmm. You know, I also think the other thing I'll just mention is that one of the things about death that has been happening with COVID is that, of course, is that people are isolated in death as well. And that's something that's really tragic and haunting for everybody that goes through this, is they usually cannot see a loved one. And so, I mean, I guess there are aspects of this that are unique to this particular tragedy. And so that may be something that comes up, or that may be something that has to be dealt with in some way when talking about it or when presenting it. Mm-hmm. And I guess the other thing is, it's also, I'm just aware that, I mean, we've got a person dying every minute. And yet, in a lot of ways, I know it's all over the news, but the concrete recognition of this, because it's always occurring at hospitals and it's not seen so much, that's another part of this thing that's kind of disturbing, is that it seems to be in some ways more hidden. But I'm going on and on too much right now.
I really appreciate what you're saying, David. And Owens and I had a talk on the phone not too long ago about this question and how to go about having a memorial that, like, do we try to separate it entirely from the political, like even the political aspects of what you're saying, David, that we don't even feel, you know, what a death a minute means. And that, you know, what I said to Owens in that conversation was, it's hard for me not to want to, you know, put this in people's faces. And that, to me, is not a memorializing gesture. That's a political gesture, not a memorializing gesture. And so, I don't know, Owens helped me think through, like, separating out that content that, you know, in the case of Detroit, it is certainly about kind of the shock of numbers of portraits that are lost humans, but it really is about those humans, so that seems like one of the really powerful aspects of that version of the memorial. The humanity is really prominent.
And not to go down like a sad spiral or anything, but I think that COVID is only hidden to a few people, right? Like I've lost 2 cousins and a best friend's wife, right? So like, I think that the impact of COVID is not hidden to me, like I felt it, like I feel it. And so I think the idea of it being hidden is hidden to certain folks, but it's not hidden to a lot of people, right? So I think that we have to keep that in mind. Like this memorial, like a lot of people are losing a lot of loved ones. Like my cousin's in the hospital now fighting for COVID. So, I think that we just have to keep that in mind when we think about and talk about things that are hidden to others, because I think for many people who are losing loved ones within their families and their friends and their, like I said, my friend's, grandfather just passed away of COVID. Like I've literally, so the idea is that that it's affecting people of color more, right? In a way that is real and not hidden. So if we're going to do something, I think that there are really wonderful possibilities. I think a lot of people who are dying are people of color, are low income, who are not getting the kind of recognition based on those things as well. So there's some possibilities too. Yeah.
Great project. I'd love to do it. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
There again, what do we do next for something like that? Do we just have a committee to come up with ideas to do these things? And this seems like something we do like tomorrow, right? I mean, because it's happening right now. So this isn't a put it off till next summer kind of thing. We got to decide to do this right now.
Yeah. This is a January come together meeting quickly on it, I think.
So maybe collect examples, not just of COVID memorials, but of temporary memorials.
Right.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, I've been working on this since March, and I've been talking to Betty since this month, collecting artifacts and articles and different things about COVID. So if there's a committee form, I'd like to be on that committee. People have stories. And I think there should be a separation between people, political aspirations or ideas about the cause of COVID, but let's tell people stories and have places where people can go, like walk up to a QR code, scan on it, and the person's story comes up and a person's picture is like on a light bulb. It can be anywhere that our community is, and all the pictures will be embedded. And there'll be a database where people can go, like, listen to someone's story. There's nothing more powerful than listening to a person's story. I've had a couple of people who've had COVID, black, white, or candy, right? It's the human being condition itself. And I think everyone is suffering from it. Some more, but we all in the same storm, but we all in different boats, and it's how we handle that. But I would like to see, and working with artists on how to tell someone's story, so that if I'm buying tomatoes, I could walk up to someone's story. If I'm out catching a bus or whatever the ideal is, and start collecting that information and have that story told. How can it be told? That's what we all together for. But the clear separation of the community telling its own story is more of an advocate than I am.
Yeah, I like the whole, to me, just in my mind as we're talking about it, it's like, the Vietnam Wall, or I'm really getting that picture of 9/11 after it happened, and that board where all those people were putting things about people missing, what I'm talking about? And people would just walk up to that and see that mass of people and all those pictures and all those stories. And just, there's something about, all of it in one place just overwhelms you with the number and how it's happening in much bigger numbers than you think. Just like India mentioned, I don't know, 5 people in your family just today, or 5 people you knew. That's a lot of people for one member, just something about that, going to one place and just seeing that whole story of everybody just seems like it would be really impactful.
I'm hearing a lot of really good ideas. I like the QR code. I like the wall idea, photographs. I mean, I think one of the things would be good if this was something that did have both a physical location and a virtual or internet location as well, so that it extends itself just beyond a certain place. Because the places, anyway, these are great ideas. So what should we do? I mean, I think somebody mentioned a January meeting that would bear down on this, because it is something that's fresh. And
well, the reason I was thinking January, I mean, by March, we're going to be at a year anniversary. I mean, really, it would be better if we could roll this out at that anniversary. If there was something that was like, after a year, here's what's happened to this community.
That's scary, isn't it? A year.
It is scary. It's very scary. I mean, feel like I'm with India. I mean, we've lost 3 family, friends, and relatives already. Just even over the weekend, another one. So, you just sort of go, yeah, and I've had 3 employees come down with it and had to be isolated. So it's very timely, right?
One thing that we can do that a lot of organizations that I know that are doing is start to collect from the community artifacts, stories, things about their experience with COVID. Whether they have, like an individual gave me a program from a funeral that they had for a family member that had COVID, and then talked about, them dying, that type of thing. And then come up with an idea of how to have newscasts from the governor or, stories from people, to put this massive thing together, and then decide a way that is publicly accessible. And then that's there. And instead of people gathering, people can just go through their daily things. There's nothing more important to walk upon something and then it's publicly there. It's like the bus shelters, that's there. And when you go sit at one, it's a different experience than driving by one or have to, pull yourself together to go look at one. But that's just ideals. I'm willing to work with anyone, anyhow, any way, to help continue gather up information and then publicly come up with a way of making this something that can be accessed by anyone.
I love the idea too of it having a public space as well as maybe the digital, the digital collection too. My thought would be to answer your specific question, David, about where do we go, that we might come back with everyone having ideas, like you said, from COVID memorials, but from other kinds of memorials, other kinds of either temporary exhibitions or even thinking about permanent memorial that might be something that wouldn't completely break the bank, but that would mark these losses. Because it is it's losses in people's family, but it's a loss to our nation and it's a loss to our city and to our community. I mean, this is impacting each of us because each of us, is going to have, our lives changed, have already had our lives so changed.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep. It's good. Do we have a special meeting? You guys thinking maybe this is not something we're going to wait till the January meeting, or do we have what are you thinking? I mean, if we got to roll it out in March.
I think a January meeting is good because the holidays are coming up.
Yeah.
And everybody's pretty much waiting for the next shoe to drop from the governor. What that restriction is going to be. Everyone is waiting to find out about the holidays. And so if we could clear the decks with whatever we have that's in our minds now, with the forethought that in January we'll be talking about more specific things, I think January would be a better month than December.
Mm-hmm. True.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about you having a car meeting while you're driving anyway.
Yeah. I was like...
Yeah, well, I got to make this drive. I got a nice office. My job that's ended, so now my office is my real job, and all this artwork around me is the real thing. But I have got to make this drive, and this public art commission is very important to me, and I'm very new to it. But you're on a subject that I've been on for a very long time.
All right.
And I'm very interested in it.
It's good.
We just want to keep you around for a long time too, Owen. That's our only concern.
Well, let me ask just, Kelly, going forward, like the last two sessions, just because we haven't had a lot of new things going on, it's mostly been reports on older things. Could we set aside like our January meeting to work on this and have everybody bring in some examples, and we'll just kind of do a show and tell, and we will, we'll probably need to have another meeting soon after that among people that are really interested in organizing it. But that would be a good way to start, And I'm really glad that that Owens is really interested in it, has the passion for it. I love to hear that. That's great, because I think that's really necessary. I mean, so. How does that sound? If we all bring a little, bring a slide in or send it to Kelly or do something to just get among ourselves some ideas going on. Mm-hmm. Be a good way to start, and then we can go from there. Set up scheduled meetings for people that really want to get involved in it.
Yeah,
sounds like a great idea to me.
Bring it in January, and if you have to phone in, you can send it to me and I can share it on the screen.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, it'll be powerful.
Sounds great.
Can we invite Barbara to come as a special guest?
Well, I was about to say, some of the medical professionals that I know that I'm dealing with isolation. And I like India's idea of bringing someone in. One thing I learned the hard way is there's a lot of regulations about a lot of things, especially when you're dealing with another organization or you're trying to do anything. And the more we can get information about the regulations, simple regulation of taking a photograph. I've ran into that lately. So January may be a time that someone professional could come in, and like I said, I like India's idea of bringing someone in that can talk about some of the things we might be up against, and then that'll help us distill down the information we need to come up with a final solution. So I'm very interested in finding that type of person, and I don't have no issue bringing that person in.
Yeah, sounds good. That's a good idea.
Yep.
I mean,
great.
Speaking of bringing in, I'm working with Eric Gossman right now for Young Arts. And I don't know, I know y'all may be familiar with Four Freedoms. They do a lot of cool stuff. But anyway, maybe he could come and say a few things about how they, I don't know, this is just a suggestion. It could be totally bad, but, could possibly talk about how their platform is. It may not be him, but I'm sure he has someone who could come and talk about how their platform works and what they do. Just a thought,
Sure, that would be a great thing.
Would that be something that the group is interested in, me reaching out to some of the professionals and, at least have a contact? So if we needed someone to come in from that area to do that, would the group be interested in that?
Sure. What area? Like, are you talking about medical?
I'm talking about you're talking about, if we're talking about the community, you're talking about sometimes community activists, sometimes you're talking about the medical side, you're talking about different groups of people. I'm with Kelly, I'm not for having 10, 11 people, but say we have a move in January, and it's a matter of the activity in the community, like Happy Hills, to use it as an example. What's happening in Happy Hills? What are you doing about that? How do you memorialize that? And what are you up against? What do we need to know? If we wanted to do something there, what do we need to know? And I'm only using that as an example.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sure. I mean, I think go ahead, propose a person to bring in. Well, absolutely bring them into that meeting. Don't you think? I mean, I think that other people that have ideas about who to bring into that meeting, it would be good to hear. I know, Dara, you have a lot of contacts, and I don't know if you are thinking about this, the Arts Council, you know, what perspective they might have on it. So this kind of a project. I mean, it seems like a kind of project, once again, that we want to get, we would want to get a lot of people involved in, and it would be more of a community project. And so it would require a lot of organization. I'm not sure how if we could do that, but we can certainly try, and we can certainly frame out some ideas that then people can take and refine.
Well, I'm just thinking too, so many of the organizers of Black Lives Matter protests this summer have already navigated a lot of the communications around, like, organizing drive-through, for example, or you know, organizing some of the other aspects beyond the art making aspects of this project. And so I'm thinking Angel Fant from No Punching Bag Arts, who would be a great person for us to speak to anyway, just as a artist entrepreneur in the community, and Tommy Priest and Larry the Poet, LB. And I'm sure Owens knows 10 more names of people who are part of kind of the more organizing forces in the community that might be valuable to have either in the room on the first meeting or in the room shortly, I guess, in the Zoom shortly thereafter.
Yeah, I was thinking more along those same lines, Betsy. Let's have a string of people that we could tap into when we need information. Not necessarily have everybody in one spot, but as this thing starts to get some skin and bones that come together, and we start to need more information or more ideals, we start to tap into those people. Tommy, Angel, excellent people. I spent a lot of time with Black Lives Matter this week, and I spent my whole summer with them from DC all the way to North Carolina. And I spent a lot of time with health professionals. So, but my ideal is that not necessarily have somebody every meeting, but as we start to formulate more and more together, having more and more people come in that can give us information of specific things that we need. Therefore, the final product becomes more polished versus we're guessing at something, if that makes any kind of sense.
Yeah, sure, that does. Yeah.
Yeah, why don't we start with the ideas? Everybody bring in our ideas, and that way we can start and see, you know, which way we're heading, if it's a small project or it's a big project. And then just like, we got great people in our committee have lots of resources. We can just roll it out.
Okay.
So everybody will bring in some ideas, and the people who want to invite a couple other people to the meeting, you can pass on the Zoom link. Does that sound good?
Why not?
That sounds good.
All right.
Sure. Sounds great.
Do you want to quickly move to project reports?
Sure.
They're very quick. The memory wall, city manager approved that. So I'm working on a contract for them. Winston-Salem Portrait Project, Keisha is going to try to come down in January just for a site visit and see Aaron Gibbons, who's making the sculpture, and get some stuff in order and ahead of this planned April unveil. That's it. Public comment period next. I see no public.
Is there no public for comments?
No.
Well, we can adjourn the meeting unless we have further business. I don't want to cut it short, but we're going to be out of time.
It looks like Owens had some other questions. Owens, is that something, or is that just for Kelly?
That's just for Kelly.
Okay. Gotcha.
Well, I just want to say it was such an honor to serve with Barbara. You are amazing. I appreciate everything you have done over these years. It has been so wonderful to hear your thoughts and insight, and I think you are forced to come to the rest of the meetings just because.
Really? You're here.
Yes.
You really have been great, Barbara. And I think it's been, every time you've been involved in the searches or involved with the committees, you always have a very, I think there's a mix of skepticism and wonder with you that I think is really good, really refreshing. And I think it's been very valuable. And I think we're going to miss you.
Thank you. I'll miss it too.
Yeah.
Everybody stay well.
I agree.
You too. Thank you.
Yes.
Right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Let's adjourn the meeting.
Great.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Bye.
All right.
Bye, everybody. Stay well.